I'd like to call order. Senate to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Barnett. Senator Barrett. Senator Berry. Senator Blackman. Senator Blackwell. Senator Blunt. Senator Boyd. Senator Brumfield. Senator Bryan. Senator Butler. Senator Carter. Senator Chadzenall. Senator Chisholm. Senator DeBar. Senator Delano. Senator England. Senator Fillingane. Senator Frazier. Senator Harkins. Senator Hickman. Senator Hill. Senator Hobson. Senator Horn. Senator Jackson. Senator Johnson. Senator Jordan. Senator Kirby. Senator Ladner. Senator McCon. Senator McClendon. Senator McMahon. Senator Michelle. Senator Norwood. Senator Parker. Senator Parks. Senator Pope. Senator Rhodes. Senator Robinson. Senator Seymour. Senator Simmons of the 12th. Senator Simmons of the 13th. Senator Sparks. Senator Suber. Senator Tate. Senator Thomas. Senator Thompson. Senator Turner Ford. Senator Whaley. Senator Wiggins. Senator Williams. Senator Younger. Mr. President, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Senators and guests in the gallery, please rise for the invocation to be given by our own Senator Brumfield today. The invocations will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Senator Blackman. Senator Brumfield.
God has a sense of humor. He allows us to use the most simplest things to remind us of who he is. My cell phone, this smartphone, sent me an iOS upgrade notification. And I believe like that smartphone that's smart enough to know that it needs upgrading and updating, I think there are times when we need the same. So let us pray. God, we're reminded of Jeremiah 18, where you told the prophet to go down to the potter's house because there was a potter doing a great work on the wheel with clay that was marred in his hands. Just like that clay, God, we're marred and we're flawed and we're not proud and we're not flaunting it or bragging about it. What we're simply saying is thank you for being God. Thank you for being sovereign. And thank you for allowing upgrades to happen in our lives. Today, God, I believe somebody's faith needs upgrading. Today, God, I believe somebody's confidence needs upgrading. Today, God, I believe we need to be reminded that our hurts and our pains and our brokenness are not void or in vain, that you use every opportunity to draw us closer to you so that we might love you and love one another. Bless this session on today, that we might be at our very best for you. We give thanks now. We pray for those, God, who are hurting. We pray for those who suffered the death during that massive earthquake. Bless us now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here you go, Senator. Let's get a picture.
This one.
No, sir. You Jack.
Jack, Pastor Jack.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
Thank you.
Use that in the campaign. Thank you, Senator Brumfield. Thank you, Senator Blackman. Now the reading of the journal. Senator Blackwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I move we dispense with the reading of the journal.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Message and petitions, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there are none.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Committee reports, Senator Blackwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we dispense with the reading of the committee reports.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the committee reports. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next to the reading of the titles of bills and resolutions, I recognize Senator Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we dispense with the reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Blackwell. Introductions before we go to the calendar. Introductions, anyone? Okay. Local and private. Senator Whaley. Senator Whaley. Wave 1, 2, 3 retain their place on the calendar. Conference appropriations have not been filed. Get to that in a minute. Okay, in conference. Johnson, pass on 100. Pass on 101. Johnson pass. Senator McCon, for what purpose? Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my privilege, of course, to have conference weekends, a good weekend. We get to bring our families around. I will say there's two here, Mr. President. I've got Whit here sitting in my seat, and of course my wife Carrie over here. And we've also got Gabriel Yates here from Andrew Yates. So let's make them all feel welcome.
Great to have you all here. You're while we work here. Okay, 103, Hawkins pass. 104, 105 pass. 106, 107 pass. Tourism, Hawkins pass. 115, 115. Okay, we have nothing filed in our general bills. McMahon, pass. Whaley on general bill. 138, sir, pass. All retain their place upon the calendar. Yes, sir.
139.
I'm sorry, Senator. I went by you too fast. 139, Senate. Senator Parker, you recognize. 139, Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to go to 139, House Bill 924, and have title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill 924, Creating Logic for Efficiency and Accountability, Clear Act, create.
We'll move we adopt the conference report and be recognized to explain.
You're recognized to explain, Senator. One moment, please.
So you'll remember this bill. This is a peer bill. When we passed this bill last time, I told you we were not going to make any changes to this bill, and if we did, that bill would die a miserable death. I conveyed those sentiments to the House. They invited conference anyway, but now they have agreed to concur exactly as we passed the Senate. So this is the exact same bill that we passed before with no changes, and so I move we adopt the conference report by the use of morning roll call.
Okay, first questions. Questions. Senator Hill, for what purpose, ma'am?
Question.
Will you yield for
Certainly.
questions, Senator?
I'm
Senator
trying.
Hill?
Thank you. I'm trying to remember. This is the bill that had the MDE creating the school bus, basically telling the schools how to run their buses and.
Right. It's the one where we removed all of that and took every bit of it out and passed it. And if you remember, I said that if there was any attempt to add anything in about education, that bill would die a miserable death. And so it did go to conference, but I conveyed those sentiments, and it is exactly as we passed and edited on the floor.
So it still has that school bus language in
No.
it? It does not?
It
So
does not.
what does it have in it? Just briefly, you don't have to go into grave detail.
So just to refresh you on it here, the provisions in it were the ability of peer to review the state agency rules, the Medicaid non-emergency transport provision, the little provision on the prison work program, the mental health task force recommendations, the peer subpoena enforcement, and a study on self-insurance for state property were the only things that remained. So again, if you look at the conference report, it says that the House concurs in Senate Amendment Number 1, which is again that amendment that removed all of that objectionable language away. So it's exactly as we passed.
And on the subpoena power for peer, can you refresh me on exactly, or not exactly, but,
What that does?
yeah, what that
Yeah,
does?
so Peer has had instances where they've had concerns with maybe what an agency is doing or what might be occurring, and they have been unable to get them, into maybe the room to discuss some of their concerns. So this would allow Peer to get answers to questions that need answers.
Okay. So what is the penalty if they don't comply?
I guess it'd be the same penalty for ignoring a subpoena in any way. I'm not sure. I don't think there's any language that says what the penalty is in there. Senator Robinson might be able to help, with, if I could sidebar with her for 1 second.
Sure.
The chair of Peer says that it would be up to 6 months and up to $1,000 penalty.
Okay, so you're giving peer the authority to send somebody to jail for 6 months?
Well, I don't think Peer would have that authority.
Well, who
but it
would have
be
the authority? Who would have that authority?
Through the courts.
So peer would have to go through the court, and how would they do that? How would they, what would they do? File a motion saying that you're in contempt of peer?
Since I don't think there's specific language in there, so I'm sure the attorneys in the room can help you with how that would happen, but
Thank
as a
you.
non-attorney, I'm not sure the answer to that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Senator Parker. Senator Bryan, for what purpose, sir?
A question.
Will you yield, Senator Parker?
Certainly.
Senator Bryan's recognized for a question on this bill.
I'm not absolutely sure because I'm going by memory, and my memory is not what it once was, and it does not seem to be improving with age. But I think I read in the bill that if one fails to comply with the subpoena or whatever from peer, that matter is referred to the Attorney General or a district attorney. And I think the language in the conference report says that district attorney shall prosecute the individual, which seems to me to restrict the traditional flexibility and discretion that a prosecutor would have. And my question is my memory right about any of that stuff, or all of it, or part of it, or?
So, again, as a non-attorney, I'm not sure if your explanation is correct. I can find that answer to it, but I did not receive that question in any of the discussions that I've had up to this point on the bill, and I do trust the opinion of peer that they are not going to be exercising some authority incorrectly. Again, we've talked about the members we have in here. This is a peer bill. We are trying to give members of this body the ability to rein in some concerns they have with state agencies, and so I do trust their opinion on this matter.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, Senator, we're ready for your motion, sir.
Move adoption of the conference report by use of morning roll call.
Use of morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object? Wish to be recorded as voting no. Chisholm, no. Hill, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? Present? Seeing none, the bill passes by use of morning roll call. Thank you, Senator Parker. We go to 140 harvest permit. Younger. Senator Michelle? Which number, sir?
147.
147. Anyone have anything from 139 to 147? Seeing none, please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill 1174, Public Adjusters Licensure, revised provisions related to.
Thank you. My motion is going to be that we do adopt the conference report, and I ask that it be recognized to explain the report.
You're recognized to explain the report, Senator.
This conference report on House Bill 1174 creates a consumer protection for public adjusters and increases the professionalism and establishes additional standards. The original bill we had included independent adjusters as well as public adjusters. The independent adjuster represents the insurance company in the claim process, and the public adjuster represents the consumer, the insured, in the process. In this conference report, we've removed all references to the independent adjuster who represents the insurance company. We are increasing the standards of the adjuster who represents the consumer. It's probably rare that any of us have had an opportunity to need to hire a claims adjuster or a public adjuster. So an analogy that I would like to give you that might ring home to you would be the use of a real estate agent in a transaction. Typically, there's a listing agent in a real estate transaction, and that listing agent has a fiduciary responsibility to represent the interest of the seller. If you're looking to buy a house or a piece of land, you may have engaged a broker to help find a property for you, and in that instance, the buyer's broker represents the buyer in the transaction. So what we're referring to here in this transaction would be what we would refer to as the buyer's agents in a real estate transaction. We're referring to a public adjuster who represents the interests of the insured. The public adjusters, the additional requirements is that they must be licensed by the insurance commissioner office and must be at least 21 years old, a resident of Mississippi, and must pass an exam. They must be financially responsible by obtaining either a bond or a letter of credit, and if that bond lapses, their license terminates. We have reciprocity in this agreement where a person licensed in another state can make application to our insurance commissioner, and their state must offer Mississippi adjusters licensure on the same basis. Section 3 outlines the ways that an insured can cancel the agreement. It also strengthens the protection for the insured by requiring the contract to be in writing. It lists the adjuster's address, phone number, license number, description of loss, and verification that the adjuster has the bond that's required in the license law. And Section 4 provides additional protection by requiring a public adjuster to deposit funds into a trust account, a fiduciary trust account. All this consumer protection language has been established as a model bill by the National Conference of Insurance Legislators, and it's been vetted on a nationwide basis by insurance companies, by insurance commissioners, and by legislators throughout the 50 states who represent the insurance committees in their respective states. As explained, this bill has been reduced to all modifications to the public adjuster statute that will benefit the consumer, who is the insured. I'll be glad to yield any questions.
Questions, Senator Thompson. For what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. President.
Are you for questions?
Yes.
Please proceed, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your work on this. I know
Yes,
that we
sir.
had some questions when the bill first came up. Is there anything in here that allows the insurance commissioner authority to add additional regulations or requirements on public adjusters beyond what's in the bill?
Not aware of any.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hill. For what purpose, ma'am?
Question.
Were you, Senator?
Yes.
Senator Hill's recognized for a question on this.
Thank you. This is kind of a follow-up to Senator Thompson's question. Lines 74 through 76 says the original language said he is a trustworthy person. The new language says he is a trustworthy, reliable, and of good reputation, evidence of which shall be determined through an investigation of the commissioner. So I guess my question is, in that Fresh Start bill that keeps coming through here for licensing, we took anything out that related to character, reputation, any type of moral turpitude or any of that. But we're putting that in as new language for a public adjuster. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay. And my other question is, you mentioned that to be licensed, they would have to be a Mississippi resident? Okay. But
we do have reciprocity as well. Is that what you're getting to?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, because you mentioned reciprocity. So if they're licensed in another state, they can still practice in Mississippi?
That's correct with the insurance commissioner's approval, he has the ability to search the database to another state through the NAIC. If that person has questionable actions in their background, then that can be brought into play. So before they categorically approve someone from another state, the insurance commissioner has the right to vet that person.
Okay, so basically, they would just have a background check, is what I'm asking. Would it be this like a peer background check, or what would the commissioner do as far as to determine whether they got a good reputation, evidence of which shall be determined through an investigation of the commissioner? Would that be more than a background check, or what would that be?
In the instance of another state, they would have the right to see if there's any complaints filed against them, if they have failed to put the bonds
Gotcha.
up that they're required to
Yeah.
do. If it's very similar, I'm sure, to any other board in Mississippi. The
Okay.
Real Estate Commission, the Barber Board, they have the right to check into the people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Hobson. For what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. President.
Are you a senator?
Yes.
Senator Hobson is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you said that they have to be a licensed Mississippi public adjuster. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do we currently have licenses for our public adjusters in Mississippi, or is this a new process?
No, we're currently licensed, and what we're doing is adding standards. Let me see the requirements of the 20. Currently, they have to be at least 21 years of age. They must be a resident of the state. The only language dealing with that licensure is that the commissioner must prove they're reliable and have a good reputation, and they've not been in problems in their business background.
But we do have a licensing process
Yes.
already?
Yes.
Do you know how many we have in Mississippi
I
that are
don't.
licensed?
I do not know. I did find this out from the insurance commissioner's office, that the reason this model bill is come out before the nation is because of all the emergencies we've had throughout the country. It's becoming more common for there to be bigger groups of adjusters now. It used to be that the public adjuster was a one-person shop, and that's still truth in Mississippi, but in instances where you have big losses, it could be common to hire a company that would have several adjusters under their umbrella working for them.
So if you're a company, you also can qualify under this, even
Yes.
though some of the language reference he.
Yes, there's a definition of person on line 53. It can be an individual, a firm, a company, association, organization, partnership, LLC, or corporation.
And do we know how many states have reciprocity with Mississippi?
I do not. There is a great database through the NAIC, and our insurance commissioner of Mississippi keeps a database of surrounding states, the ones who are licensed properly. And our requirements also is that they have similar requirements that we have, stringent requirements, and that they accept licensure of Mississippi public adjusters in their state as well.
Yeah, I think that matters because let me give you the situation that concerns me. If we had a catastrophic event, or another hurricane or a bad tornado, and we have thousands of claims by our citizens, sometimes and oftentimes they use public adjusters to help them with their claims. Do we know that we've got enough either licensed in Mississippi, or that we have enough that get reciprocity? Do we have enough states with reciprocity? If some of these really stronger and better equipped public adjusters can come in quickly and readily and help out our citizens?
Yes, sir. Senator, there's another statute we didn't amend here that gives the commissioner on an emergency situation authority to grant adjuster in Mississippi for up to 90 days, and it can be extended for an additional 90 days among a large catastrophic event.
And how long does it take to get the license under the provisions that Senator Hill was referencing to determine the reliability and trustworthiness and reputation? How long does the process take to review public adjusters so that they can get their license?
The review process, I don't know how long that would take. I know it consists of taking an exam and passing the exam, and I wouldn't think it would take long for the insurance commissioner to check their background and see if there's any complaints against them. It'd be like a real estate licensure. When I applied for my real estate license, I'm sure they checked me out too as well.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from them in 40 years since I got my license, but I guess I passed the test.
I understand that. Look, and that part, while I don't mind the licensing, public adjusting is probably a little bit different in the sense that oftentimes you need these people to come in quickly, or you have citizens that are trying to negotiate a claim, they run into a roadblock, and then they're looking for the public adjusting company or public adjuster person. I just don't want our citizens to be delayed getting the recovery they need because they can't access either A, we don't have enough public adjusters in Mississippi, or B, they can't get in because it takes them too long to get through this process of testing, reputation, background checks, et cetera. And then they're the ones that are hurting when they can't get assistance. And I don't, is there anything in this bill that would provide, you did mention the emergency status.
Yes, but that's not covered in this legislation. That's an existing statute.
Okay. Anything in this bill that would put time limits or help expedite the process for those individuals or companies that want to come to Mississippi to help out, to get in and have the commissioner make a decision either way within a short amount of time?
I imagine that an emergency part of the statute would help there. If we've got a hurricane on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, then the commissioner has the right to get qualified adjusters from any state in the country to come in and help out with. And everything we've done in this bill has been done to help the consumer. We have the insurance companies are in favor of this legislation because they think in a transaction, if they have someone that's ethical, well qualified, smart, and licensed properly to represent the insured, then the transaction can be a simpler transaction. If, on the other hand, they're dealing with someone who doesn't have additional standards, I know from being, I hate to continue to compare it to real estate transaction, but the toughest real estate transactions sometimes are when you have someone represent the other party that don't know what they're doing. And in this instance, we're putting additional requirements on the person who represents the insured because we feel like the insurance companies are doing a very good job of training their adjusters, the independent adjuster. We want the person who represents the insured to be as knowledgeable and as ethical and as qualified.
Well, I understand that. I also want them to be able to get to work as quickly as they can because when people are, suffering through a loss, they need quick relief. And it may not even be a catastrophic event. It may be that or it could be a smaller catastrophic event and the numbers of adjusters just simply aren't available for the area that was affected. I don't know if that would qualify for emergency or not without looking at that statute, but also want to make sure that you don't have delays in getting the public adjusters. If they've got to go through a testing process and then they got to have their reputation and everything checked, while qualified, it may take them so long that you have an individual that's out on the streets or that's, in a hotel room that can't get taken care of as quickly as they might otherwise be able to. But I do understand the part about making sure you've got legitimate players here for the legitimate companies and individuals for the insured. So thank you, Senator Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions, Senator Hill? For what purpose,
I
ma'am?
do have one more question.
Will you yield, Senator?
Yes.
Senator Hill's recognized.
Okay, after it goes through all the things prior to lines 176, that it lays out that the commission can require or shall require from a public adjuster, when you go on to number 4, it says for applications made under this section, the commissioner may require additional information or submissions from applicants and obtain any documents or information reasonably necessary to verify the information contained in an application. So that, I mean,
What line are you reading
would that
from,
not be adding?
What
more?
line are you reading from? You said 4. You're talking about section 4?
176 to 180.
Okay. All right, what is line 4 you're referring to? I can't follow
Well,
that.
it's all the qualifications prior to that
okay, on line
But
175?
I'm referencing lines 176 to line 180.
Okay.
So it says in addition to all that the commissioner may require additional information or submissions from applicants and obtain documents or information reasonably necessary. So we wouldn't know what that would be. I mean, all the other stuff's laid out, but this basically just gives additional grounds for the commissioner to ask for whatever documentation that's not listed in the bill. Would that be correct?
Yes, everything that you're reading now is trying to get the qualifications of the adjuster the best possible. We're trying to help the consumer, the insured. So this is just another bite at the apple of making sure we have somebody that's well qualified that's going to be representing the insured in a loss.
Well, I would just ask that this is like, it's a lot of information, and just, it looks to me like it gives the commissioner unconditional control over how long it's going to take, or if we may ever get somebody licensed. That would just be my concern, but I appreciate your answer.
Thank you, Senator Hill. Anyone else? Anyone else?
I move adoption of the conference report by use of morning roll call.
Use of morning roll call been requested. Anyone object? Richard B. Records voting no. Chisholm, no. Barrett, no. Whaley, no. Boyd, no. England, No. Hill, no. Suber, no. Tate, no. Seymour, no. No. Hobson, no. Thompson, no. No. McCon, no. No. Sparks, no. Rhodes, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? One moment, please. Fourteen noes, the bill passes. Thank you, Senator. Okay, moving down the calendar. 162, Senator Bryan. Senator Bryan, 162, Senate. Pass. Senator Parker, 163. Pass. Senator DeBar, pass and retain. Senator Sparks, pass and retain. Senator Sparks, pass and retain. Senator Barnett, pass and retain. Senator Wiggins, we're on 185, I'm sorry, sir. 185, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Go to item 185. Call that up. Ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Bill 2489, Appellate Court Expense Allowance Authorized Receipt for Judicial Duties Performed in Any Area of the State.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you. Mr. President, my motion is that we adopt the conference report and I be allowed to explain.
You're recognized to explain.
Thank you. This is the bill that grants to our appellate judges an additional 12 days throughout the state for an expense allowance to use in other parts of the state before it could only be used in Jackson. The House had put a reverse repealer in. We took that out. They made a little tweak, and we went with what the House did and took out the reverse repealer, and it allows them to claim 20 days in the state, anywhere in the state up to 12. That's what it does. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions on the bill? Seeing none, Senator, we're ready for your motion, sir.
Move adoption on the morning roll call, Mr. President.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object? Wish to be recorded as voting no? Present? No, Hill. No, Chisholm. Present? Seeing none, the bill passes by use of morning roll call. Thank you, Senator Wiggins. Senator Boyd, pass and retain. Senator Boyd, the second one pass as well. Okay. Senator Bryan, we're on 191, Senate.
I would like to pass item 191, let it retain its place, go to item 192, and ask that bill be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill 2741, professional music therapist provides for licensure by State Department of Health.
I move we do adopt the conference report.
You're recognized to explain, sir.
Mr. President, the bill is the bill dealing with professional music therapists, which passed both chambers essentially in the same form. There was a proposal to have a study committee on cancer. That proposal died in committee. There was much interest expressed about reviving that proposal so that the conference report before you also includes the provision that was introduced in another bill to establish a study committee on cancer. If there are no questions, I suggest use of the morning roll call.
No, ma'am.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to that procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no? Hill, no. Chisholm, no. Seymour, no. Anyone else? Present? Seeing none, the bill passes by use of the morning roll call. Thank you, Senator Bryan. Senator Delano will go to 195, Senate.
Yeah, Senate Bill 195, or Senate Bill 2835, I'd like to have the title read, please.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill 2835, Mississippi Emergency Communications Act, create.
I'd like to move to recommit for further work.
Motion to recommit. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is recommitted. 196, let's see the next one that's been filed here. One moment. Senator DeBar, Senator Thompson, pass. Senator Blunt, pass and retain. Senator Younger, pass and retain. Senator Bryan, Senate, we're on 207. Senator Bryan?
Could I ask where we are on the calendar?
207, sir.
I'd like to take up that item.
Yes, sir. The ones prior to you were passed and retained their place upon the calendar. Senator Bryan is recognized. We're on 207, Senate.
I'd like to ask that the rules be suspended to take up items 207, 208, and 209 in a block.
One moment. 207, 208, and 209 in block. Seeing no objection is granted. Senator Bryan?
I ask that the titles be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 3, Carrie K. Coggins, LMSW, Tupelo, Mississippi State Board of Examiners for Social Workers and Marriage and Family Therapists, 4-year term ending June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 5, Sabrina Marie Turner, Flowood, Mississippi Board of Directors of the Mississippi Industries for the Blind, as an individual who has at least 5 years actual experience in marketing or related field, term effective immediately, will end June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 6, Eddie Eugene Turner, Brandon, Mississippi Board of Directors of Mississippi Industries of the Blind, as a legally blind individual, term effective immediately, and it will end June 30th, 2027.
I move we do advise and consent. The committee voted to make that recommendation to the Senate. If there are no questions, I suggest use of the morning roll call.
Questions on the 3 nominees? Seeing none, use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to that procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no? Present. Seeing none, all 3 are confirmed. Senator Bryan?
I would ask to pass items 210 through 214 and allow them to retain their place on the calendar.
210 to 214, retain their place on the calendar. 215, Senator Bryan.
I would like to move the rules be suspended to consider items 215 through 235 in a block.
215 through 235, Senate, in a block. That's 2 pages. I will give you a moment to review. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're ready to read the titles, Mr. Clerk.
Senate nomination number 26, Sherry A. Bolden, Madison, Mississippi State Board of Examiners for licensed professional counselors, remainder of a 5-year term effective July 2nd, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028, representing the 2nd Congressional District Vice, Dr. Carrie McNatt. Senate nomination number 27, Dr. Shelby R. Bradley, Gulfport, Mississippi State Board of Examiners for licensed professional counselors, remainder of a 5-year term effective July 2nd, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice, Dr. Lewis A. Bullard. Senate nomination number 44, Elizabeth Jean Marie Liz McLean, Ridgeland, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Massage Therapy as a licensed massage therapist, 4-year term effective September 24th, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice, Mr. Michael Scott Parker. Senate nomination number 46, Dr. Harvey Allen Gersh, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure to represent the 2nd Supreme Court District, 6-year term beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2030. Senate nomination number 47, Dr. Kirk L. Kennard, Oxford, Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure to represent the 3rd Supreme Court District, 6-year term beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2030. Senate nomination number 49, Andrew Christopher Drew Calhoun, RN, Meridian, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Nursing as a registered nurse at large, 4-year term effective July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice, Mr. William Alton Shaw. Senate nomination number 50, Dr. Lacey Thompson Gentry, BNP RN, CNE, Cortland, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Nursing as an educator, 4-year term effective July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 51, Beverly Eves Oliver, MBA, MSc, NFP, Clinton, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Nursing as a registered nurse practitioner, 4-year term effective July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice, Dr. Melissa King. Senate nomination number 52, Christopher Bryan, Chris Threadgill, Ackerman, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Nursing Home Administrators as the hospital administrator, 4-year term effective July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice, Mr. James Taylor Williams, Jr. Senate nomination number 53, Dr. Hillary Melby Parrish, Vicksburg, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Optometry, 5-year term effective July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2029, representing the 4th Congressional District as it existed on January 1st, 1980. Senate nomination number 57, Courtney Benton Jones, Brandon, Mississippi Board of Examiners for Social Workers and Marriage and Family Therapists as a licensed marriage and family therapist, 4-year term effective July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice, Dr. William Jeffrey Hinton. Senate nomination number 76, Courtney Phillips, Indianola, Mississippi State Board of Mental Health, 7-year term effective July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2032, representing the 1st Supreme Court District. Senate nomination number 80, Elizabeth A. Beth Tenen, PhD, RN, CNE, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Nursing Home Administrators as the educator with expertise in the field of health care. 4-year term effective July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 81, Billy Chrysler Chris Bourne, PT, DPT, MHS, Florida, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Physical Therapy as a physical therapist representing the 3rd Congressional District. four-year term effective July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 82, Dr. Robert Carrington Dews, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Physical Therapy as a representative of physicians, four-year term effective July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 83, Henry Presley Posey for Mississippi State Board of Rehabilitation Services as a vocational rehabilitation client or client's parent representative, five-year term effective July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2029. Senate nomination number 90, Dr. Johnny Mitchell Jr., Pontotoc, Mississippi State Board of Mental Health, seven-year term effective upon Senate confirmation and ending June 30th, 2030, representing the 3rd Supreme Court District and a licensed medical doctor. Senate nomination number 97, Dr. Lucius Marion Luke Lampton, Magnolia, Mississippi State Board of Health as a physical licensed physician, six-year term beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2031. Senate nomination number 99, Dr. Thomas Edward Tom Joyner, Brandon, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Medical License to represent the 1st Supreme Court District, six-year term beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2030. Senate nomination number 100, Randy C. Roth, M.D., Pascagoula, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure to represent the 2nd Supreme Court District, remained over six-year term effective October 3rd, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice W. David McClendon, M.D. Senate nomination number 101, Sue B. Gillespie, Hattiesburg, Mississippi State Board of Mental Health, remainder of a seven-year term effective January 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2028, representing the 2nd Supreme Court District, Vice Robert Landrum.
Mr. President, the recommendation of the Senate Public Health Committee is that we do advise and consent in these nominations. Suggest that we advise and consent by use of the morning roll call.
Questions on any of the nominees? Questions? Seeing none, use of the morning roll call has been requested for advise and consent. Anyone object? Mr. Bucor is voting no. Present? All are positively advising consent. Thank you, Senator Bryan.
Mr. President, I ask for immediate release of all the public health and welfare confirmations this morning.
Seeing no objection, immediate release is granted. Senator Delano. Pass and retain Senator Suber. Pass and retain Senator Polk. Pass and retain. One moment. One moment. Okay. Thank you, Senate. And now we'll go back to announcements. Announcements. Senator England.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have an announcement. Today at the fairgrounds, and this is on behalf of the entire Gulf Coast delegation who are all hosting with the I guess the MDR or the DMR, they're going to feed us today. I wasn't ready for announcements, obviously. They're going to be in the Ag Fairgrounds, barn number 14, crawfish, catfish, barbecue, brisket, shrimp, oysters, etc. So if that doesn't entice you to go, I don't know what will. I'll see you there.
Thank you, Senator England. All right, anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, Senator Hobson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thought I'd give a brief update on where we stood in the appropriations process, because many of you have asked me this morning and late yesterday about where we stood. Let me say, first of all, as you probably know, the House is not in today, so the docket room for the House is closed, which means effectively that no conference reports can be filed in appropriations. So the appropriations effectively, all the bills and appropriations are effectively dead at this point. I will tell you that, normally we're here till 8 o'clock. Our deadline for filing in conference weekend is 8 o'clock on Saturday night, but there's nothing we can get filed. I have checked with some of my House colleagues to see if they would be here today, but even if they were, it wouldn't matter since the House docket room is going to be closed. As most of you know, they went home, and we were unable to get negotiations finished. Just by way of background, I'll tell you that we started the process probably too late. We were ready to negotiate early in the week and unable to get agreement with the House to negotiate until Thursday morning. We started negotiations, had a great day of negotiations Thursday with the House conferees. I want to thank my subcommittee chairs, these subcommittee chairs here in the Appropriations, Senate Appropriations. I also want to thank John Reed, the Appropriations Chair in the House, and the other Appropriation Chairs, Mims, Oliver, DeWeese, and Bounds, and Representative Cockerham, too, that was there. There were a lot of hard discussions. Many of you were in those discussions, and we had good progress on Thursday. We had good progress yesterday. I felt like we were on course to get most, if not all, the bills done by today. But since actually we got negotiations through late Friday, and I said we're going to need to work through the night to get a lot of these conference reports done. I think we had finished about 70 of the approximately 105 bills that we need to take up. And then I was informed late yesterday afternoon that they were not going to sign conference reports. So at that point, since they were not going to be in tomorrow, we couldn't get the conference report signed last night by midnight. So effectively, those bills will be dead. But I do have a number of conference reports that will be down in 216 for the members that are on those conference reports. So if you're a conferee, I can't tell you which ones they are right now. It's probably 20 or 25 conference reports that I know we've completed that were Senate-originated bills. There are many others that were House-originated bills that I think we had come to agreement on, but since they're House-originated bills, we've not seen those. I've not seen any conference reports other than the ones that we prepared that were Senate-originated. So I would ask, I'm going to ask the President if he would to request that the motion be made that the Senate conferees, and again, I can't tell you which ones they are. If you come down to 216, I would say 15 minutes after recess, Mr. President, and then they can look at those reports. Certainly ask me any questions if you have any, and ask the other conferees so we can start the process of getting our bills. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know if there'll be a suspension or if there'll have to be a special session, but certainly there's going to have to be some action so that those appropriation bills can be revived to be taken up so we can keep running and funding government. But let's get together today. Since we're here working, let's get together. If you have any questions of me, get that done. And then hopefully after that's concluded, Mr. President, it's entirely up to you and the chamber, but I think everybody could go home and see their families because at least from an appropriations perspective, those bills are effectively dead at this point. And I'll yield for questions if there are any, Mr. President.
Senator Wiggins, for what purpose, sir?
Question.
You, Senator?
I do yield.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've been working hard as all of appropriations. So if I understand it right, it was the case that you as chairman were ready to negotiate and begin even as far back as last Sunday. Am I correct in that?
That's correct. Well, yes, I was, but I don't think anybody was here other than Corbin and myself and maybe the Lieutenant Governor on Sunday, so I don't think I had a chance to negotiate with anybody Sunday. But certainly I offered Monday to be able to start negotiations then. But
the House didn't come till when?
Didn't come until when?
Yeah, to actually start.
Well, I had discussions with the House, all of the appropriations chairman Wednesday, and was told that they were not ready yet to negotiate. They would let me know something. And then Thursday morning, got the word that they were ready to negotiate.
So, okay, so we could have started as early as Monday, most likely.
I could have, yes, I could have started.
Okay, and then you mentioned suspension. It seems to me the only way out of this is quite possibly what you said, either a special session or a suspension resolution. I'll speak for myself. I have no intent to vote for a suspension resolution to extend the session. I've talked to some other members, so, I mean, is there any other way out of this?
I can't think of anything, no, sir.
Okay.
Can't think of anything else.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, Senator Wiggins. Senator England?
Yes, just a brief question, Mr. President.
You, Senator? Senator England is recognized.
Yeah, thank you. And Senator Hobson, thank you and your committee and really all of my colleagues in here for being here today and for working on this and trying to get something done. I think Senator Wiggins' question probably cleared up what my question was, but if we, because I also don't plan to vote for a suspension resolution, I don't think we ought to do that. We're here to do our job. But if we don't do that, there is a possibility of a special session. Is that what I understand?
There would have to be, yes. I mean, there's no way we can finish the FY26 budget unless we have either suspension. The only two ways I can see it, there may be something I'm not thinking of, but it would be the suspension resolution to extend the deadline for filing appropriations bills, because the deadline is today, 8 o'clock tonight. It's what we have done since I've been here the last 18 years, and probably I could ask some of the more senior members like Senator Bryan, Senator Kirby. I think it's been that way probably since they've been here, but anyway, I can't think of any other ways to get the appropriations bills back before us to consider.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just clearly just wanted to let everybody know I don't support a suspension resolution. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Senator England. Senator Sparks, for what purpose, sir?
A question, Mr.
You,
President.
Senator?
I yield.
Senator Sparks is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't serve on appropriations, so I get confused by all the hocus pocus magic that goes on over there to start with. But I am on finance. And do finance and revenue bills have the same deadlines?
Yes,
So if it's a 3/5 bill, we got the same problem over on our side of the building?
that's correct.
Okay. Well, there was a bill of which I was a conferee, Senate Bill 3095, which started out as the Senate's tax bill. And then ultimately, a bill, HB1, was passed and has been signed into law. And there seemed to be some clarification needed, because there's some language in the bill that could be interpreted multiple ways. And you may not have seen that, but that got a little bit of press and people talked about it. So the good thing was we were still in session, and Senate Bill 3095 was available to do any clarifying language, of which, since I'm a conferee, I know we signed that conference report last night to clarify anything that needed to be clarified. But if the House doesn't sign the conference report and they're not in session today, that bill will die just like the appropriation bills. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, the trouble I have with that is manyfold, but one issue is that it was publicly stated that the House's position and joy that Senate Bill 3095 was alive was so that they could put a steady stream of revenue to help fund the public employees' pension retirement system. So because that bill died, if their intention truly was to develop a stream of revenue, they've killed that also. Is that correct?
It appears that way, yeah.
Okay.
I've not kept up with 3095 since about last week, but that's what it sounds like.
I'm just going by what I've read on social media, because that is a very good source of information. And so the final question I would ask...
I also heard on social media that they had sent me all the conference reports, and I've not seen one conference report from the House, so that's social media for you.
Okay, well, that's probably accurate. But the last thing would be, and I've publicly asked for this, and I've received many emails and messages from constituents, people that are concerned about the retirement system, wanting us to use 3095, because they also read social media, apparently, and believed that that was the intention of the vehicle that is now abandoned on the side of the road to die tonight at 8 p.m. But from an appropriation standpoint, I was very hopeful, and I had spoken with you about a one-time infusion of money, $150, $200 million, I think we'd kicked around. But if you put that in an appropriation bill so that we could do that this year as we continue to gain other sources of revenue to fund PERS, even if you sign that bill, it will die tonight.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sparks. Senator Norwood, for what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. President.
You here for a question, Senator?
I do.
Senator Norwood is recognized.
So thank you, Chairman Hobson. And again, I appreciate all your hard work and laying out hours. And I just want to ask a question regarding the bills that have where conferees have signed off on. We agreed on that even if they have been the ones that you said is down in 216, we still won't be able to file them.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm not asking, you don't need to sign them.
Okay.
Because it's not going to do any good. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but your name will be, if you're a conferee on that bill, your name will be on it. What I'm asking to do, since we're here working, I certainly don't want people to be hanging around all day when there's nothing that can be done. I don't want to waste everybody's time. It's effectively, there's nothing that can be done because their docket room's closed and they're not here today. So just so everybody understands clearly, you've got to file the appropriations bills in both House and Senate docket rooms. So I don't want to waste your time or anybody else's, but what I thought we could do, and this is an opportunity while we're here, for everybody to look at those bills if you have questions about them, because I know some of you conferees have been engaged on the front end and know what the Senate position was. I know there have been discussions Thursday and Friday, and we had really good discussions, great negotiations. And again, I want to thank those that stayed deep into the night and here or in the morning negotiating those on our side, and thank the House members that negotiated earnestly for that. So why not, let's take this opportunity for just a little while to take a look at those bills, make sure that they look right, that there are no clerical errors, typographical errors, no changes need to be made, substantive or technical, and then we'll have those ready if we're able to get something back up in the future for us to move quickly on those measures where there's been general agreement about where we need to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator
Thank you,
Norwood.
Senator Norwood. Senator Seymour, for what purpose?
Question, Mr. President.
You for a question, Senator?
I yield.
Senator Seymour.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, if we do a suspension resolution, this is of the joint rules, right? Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
If this comes about, will y'all put basically stipulations in there to protect this body from what the House has done already? I mean, by going home, not holding us hostage.
I don't know exactly what you mean, Senator Seymour, but I'll just say that what we have done, and the suspension resolution has been done in the past. In fact, it's been done several times because we've had some disagreement on some things, and I think there was a general consensus that that particular bill or a group of bills needed to come back up. We just couldn't get it to the finish line under the existing deadline. Obviously, when you got the entire appropriations budget and every 100 and something bills that we've got to deal with, those would be the only things that I'm interested in putting in the suspension resolution. I mean, that's what I'm focused on anyway, primarily. But as far as other bills, if you're concerned, if there may be some other bills that are brought forward, no, I have no interest in that at all. I'm not going to be. That's going to be a more global decision. That's not going to be a Briggs-Hobson decision as to what bills are going to be on there. That's going to be a global decision about what's in the suspension resolution. But again, primarily my focus is how do we fund state government? How do we make sure our agencies have the tools they need to be able to serve our citizens? And so that's what I'm going to be focused on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Seymour. Any other questions? Senator Hill, do you have a question?
Yes.
You recognize Senator Seymour?
I yield.
Senator Hill, I mean. Sorry.
So, you and I have been working together for weeks on budgets, and I truly appreciate that, and I appreciate the open door policy. My question would be, right now, government's funded till what date? July 1?
June 30.
So we're good to July 1.
Yeah. June
So
the
we don't
30th.
have to keep playing games
Yeah.
from one chamber to the other, correct?
Correct. Now, we do have, Senator Hill, we do have deficit bills that are out there
Yeah.
that also die, and the deficit bills are for this current fiscal year. And as we've talked about, just off the top of my head, I can tell you, we have about $11 million of funds to Child Protective Services. That's going to be dead. We have settlements that are supposed to be paid this
Yeah.
year. Those will be dead. So
I guess-
if we waited till June 30, there would be likely some agencies that wouldn't either run out of money or not be able to serve the people they're trying to serve, because those do need to be passed rather soon.
Just the fact that, what's been going on, I think that a lot of folks in the body really don't want to give other folks the opportunity to continue with that. So that would just be my thought I would leave it with.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Hobson. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? I appreciate your, those of you that Senator Hobson was addressing, to please go downstairs as quickly as possible. Senator Hickman,
Introduction, Mr. President.
please proceed.
Mr. President, I'd like for this body to welcome back home one of our very own, Daniel Galano. If he would stand, he's with us. Many of us know him. He's back in Mississippi, and we're happy to have him back home.
Welcome home. So if you would go to 216 and look at your conference report, please make sure of its accuracy, and let's put those behind us, even though the rest of them aren't here. Senator Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess till 1 p.m. today, at which time the Journal will reflect we're adjourned until 1 p.m. Monday.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Stand.